Hey, what's up? This is Gardetrace. Here is my first physical appearance in 2019. Well, speaking of 2019, this is going to be quite a year for movies, as there are many movies that I'm definitely looking forward to seeing, especially the upcoming Avengers Endgame. But when it comes to movies, 2018 was actually a pretty good year for movies as well. When it comes to the amount of movies that I went to go and see in theaters, this is actually my biggest year in movies. I've seen more movies in theaters, I've been to theaters the most amount of times in this year than I've ever had before. And I've seen quite a bunch of movies, some good, some bad, so this is what had me decide, hey, how about I make a ranking on the movies that I have gone to see last year. So here we are. This is going to be my 2018 movie ranking from worst to best. Hey, of course, there's going to be spoilers, just so you know. Now, I'm not going to go greatly in depth on the movies here. This is just going to be a ranking of them. I am going to make reviews of these movies at some point in the future where I'll be giving a more in-depth look onto them. But for now, this is just going to be a ranking showing where I feel these movies stack up against one another. Now, when it comes to what movies I've gone to see last year, the movies are, in order, Black Panther, Ready Player One, Avengers Infinity War, Deadpool 2, Incredibles 2, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, AntMan and the Wasp, Venom, Halloween, Pokemon The Power of Us, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So just so you know, these are the movies that I have gone to see last year. I am not counting movies that I have not seen in theaters. For example, I did not see this in theaters. As a matter of fact, as you can see, I have not seen it yet at all. But even if I were to have already have watched this movie before making this video, I would not count it on this list because I'm strictly counting ones that I've gone to see in theaters. Though I did want to see this, but I didn't get around to actually watching it yet. But I will eventually, that's why I bought it. Now, of course, this is a very personalized list to me. You will likely not agree with my choices, or you may agree with my choices, but either way, that does not matter. This is my list, not yours. You don't like it, make your own list. So, at the very bottom of the list is Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. That had to be the most retarded movie I've ever seen since Suicide Squad, and that's saying something. It's just, that movie is continuing on the same dumb bullshit that was featured in Jurassic World. You have the genetically altered dinosaur making a whole new dinosaur from scratch, but looking at it, it's not visually all that impressive. And as far as I'm concerned, a dinosaur could have possibly looked like this or somewhat like it. So there's no real merit to making entirely new dinosaurs from scratch. And then you have the one that's introduced in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, the Indoraptor. It looks like a bitch. I'm just gonna be honest. It doesn't look all that intimidating to me. And then you have the fact that they're trying to weaponize dinosaurs still. It's like, we just showcased why that was a bad idea in Jurassic World. We just showed why that didn't work. We just showed why all of this is a really dumb fucking idea, yet we're doing it again. And then you have the characters, they're just uninteresting. You have that girl who's like a medical doctor or some bullshit, like on dinosaurs, but yet she never seen a dinosaur before, so it's like, how the fuck is she even qualified to call herself that? And then you have that guy that was there, that nerdy looking guy who that actor is gonna be playing in that Detective Pikachu movie. Now, that guy in that movie, I hated him. He was just such an annoying little beta cuck. He kept screaming. I wanted a T-Rex to eat him. He kept getting scared that one would eat him. I was hoping one would eat him. He survives though. And then you have, of course, you know, that whole little subplot about the girl who actually turned out to be a clone. And it's like, okay, that really doesn't have any bearing on the plot. It's like, okay, she's a clone, but who gives a fuck? So it's just nothing really added up in that movie. And then the girl releases the dinosaurs at the end like a dumb little cunt bitch she was. And then, of course, you see at the very end of the movie, you start seeing all of the clips that you saw in the trailers. So those clips you saw in the trailers were just, you saw them entirely. They weren't actually part of the movie. And also, how dare you motherfuckers misuse Jeff Goldblum. Jeff Goldblum was pissed off at how he was misused in this movie. It's just, the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, it sucks. It's gotta be one of the worst movies that I've ever seen. And there's gonna be another Jurassic World movie coming out. It's just, let's just face it, the only good movie within the Jurassic Park franchise was the first one. Only the first one knew what the fuck it was doing. All the other ones just completely shit on that one. It's just, we haven't been able to make a good one since the first one, so why doesn't this franchise just pack it in and call it a day? Like, that movie's on Blu-ray. I don't want it. I definitely don't want it. I saw it one time in theaters. That's all that I need to see it. I don't ever want to see it again. Now, the next movie I'm going to show, I do have. And also, from this point upward, these are movies within the realms of what I would actually consider to be good movies. But of course, good movies are not created equal. So you have these movies lower on where I feel they're decent. And also, you're going to start going up where I see there are going to be the movies that are going to be really, really good. But just so you know, every movie from this point out, I feel at least is a decent movie. The next movie on this list is Black Panther. Yes, my Negro spiritual ass is ranking this quite low on the list. Don't get me wrong, it's a decent movie. As far as I'm concerned, it's not nearly as good as everyone keeps saying it is. Now, of course, I understand the cultural significance of the movie. I'm not a fucking idiot. I understand that, but that's not the reason I go to movies. I don't go to movies for their cultural significance. I don't go to movies for whatever agenda they're trying to get across. That's not the point. I look at this as a movie that is subject to criticism just as any other movie is. Just because this movie's got a majority black cast, that doesn't mean it's exempt from criticism. It's like, hey, put it this way, Friday is a movie where there's not a single white person in the cast, so big fucking whoop. And also, this ain't exactly like the first major superhero movie featuring a black superhero. We've had Blade. We had 3 fucking Blade movies. And then, of course, there was Spawn, even though Spawn sucked, but still, we've had them. But when it comes to this movie, I enjoyed it a lot in theaters. Like, when I saw it in the theaters, I actually did enjoy it a lot. However, I did notice problems in it. But overall, when the end credits rolled, I could say, yes, I really liked this movie. This movie was good. But then I got it on Blu-ray, watched it again, did not like it as much because those problems just really crept up to the surface. Then I watched it again, did not like it, liked it even less. Then I watched it again and again, because I've seen this movie 5 times. Each time I've watched it, I've actually liked it less and less. Because structurally, I feel that this movie is very flawed. Because like the first act, it has Claw, but then Claw, he just, he gets killed off so that Killmonger from the second act onward can be the antagonist, which okay, but the problem is, we really don't get enough of Killmonger in the movie, and Claw's just thrown away, and of course, spoiler alert, Killmonger dies at the end, so it's like, you know, Black Panther does not exactly have an expansive rogues gallery, so it's not a good idea to keep killing off his antagonists. So yeah, that was bad. Because like when it comes to the movie, it could have been a movie that really was different, really set itself apart from other Marvel movies. And on a surface level, it does look like it is until you start looking at it deeper and it starts going into a lot of the same MCU formulas. And then when we get to like the part of the movie where Killmonger supposedly kills T'Challa, it's like, okay, we already know he's not dead, so why is the movie wasting our time with the bullshit? And then T'Challa comes back, and then you have the big bombastic fight scene within Wakanda, and I felt that was unnecessary. As far as I'm concerned, that just made the movie weaker. We did not need a big bombastic fight scene, and like the side that's fighting against T'Challa, it's just, why are they fighting against him? It doesn't make a whole lot of fucking sense. Especially considering, even if you want to argue that, you know, T'Challa failed in bringing back Claw, and yet this guy Killmonger brought back Claw's body, just like how W'Kabi wanted it. That's why W'Kabi's siding with him. It's just, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense because, well, the only reason he didn't bring back Claw is because Killmonger took him in the first place. It's like, you know, W'Kabi and T'Challa have a lot of history. Is that really reason enough to just turn against him like this? And then you have just this big, dumb, bombastic fight scene where it's just a whole bunch of terrible CGI thrown every which way, like with the CGI rhinos. Actually, the CGI in the movie is quite crappy overall. And when I was watching this on a big, like, theater screen, I could really see just everything wrong with it. And then the final fight between T'Challa and Killmonger, they are fighting deep in the ground. That's a fight that should have been seen by everybody. But they're fighting deep underground in that mine, which that's the only place that their Black Panther suits are rendered useless. That's the only reason they're down there. That way they can do damage on each other. And I just felt that was just a dumb, cheap way to do it. And then the CG was just so bad. It's just, the movie, I felt that this movie needed much better structuring and also better effects. It's just, the movie, it's a decent movie. It definitely is not worthy of a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm just going to tell you that right now. At best, this thing is worthy of about a 67 as far as I'm concerned. Still a fresh rating, but it's just, it really wasn't all that good to me. Next movie on the list is Venom. I was so ready to just completely roast this movie when I heard that it was announced. You see the first trailer, you don't even see Venom in the trailer. Then you see the second trailer where, okay, hey, you actually see Venom. And then of course they were mispronouncing symbiotes. So I was like, oh my god, just so much fuel. I'm gonna watch this movie just for shits and giggles, and I'm just gonna have fun pointing out the shit that's wrong with it. Because, you know, when it comes, this is a movie that it's gonna have Venom, but Spider-Man is not going to be involved in Venom's origin story at all. So it's like, what in the fuck? It's just, I'll put it this way. Sony loves Venom the same way Toei loves Broly. It's just, if we can throw them in, we're just going to. Because that's what happened with Spider-Man 3. Because Sam Raimi did not want Venom in Spider-Man 3, but Sony came to him and said, we want him in there, he's popular, blah, 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 blah. So he forced him in, and that drugged the movie down. So it's like, okay, what's a Venom solo movie without Spider-Man gonna be like? Much better than I thought it would. Because the thing about this movie is it does the main thing right. The dynamic between Eddie Brock and Venom, that is the shit it really does right. And that's the important thing that it really needed it to do right. Because when it comes to Venom, we thought he wasn't going to get much screen time, but no, he got a shit ton of screen time. He got plenty. So it's like, it's not like he rarely appears in the movie. He appears, and when he appears, holy fuck, the movie is awesome. It's just the movie really sells these two together really well. Just seeing Venom and his kind of goofy comical antics. It's just, oh my, this is what I feel Venom. Because Venom, as he's portrayed in this movie, is how I view Venom. I don't view Venom as, you know, the mindless monster type like how Spider-Man 3 showed him as. Because I really felt that's a boring direction to take him, because there's some certain things that depict him like that. Venom, he's a bit of a goofball. So when you take Venom like how he is in the animated series, or how he is in the Spider-Man game from the year 2000, or like how he is in the comic books, that is Venom to me, and this movie did a great job. That being said, this actually is an objectively bad movie, because the Venom aspect of the movie is good, but the villain of the movie is terrible. He's basically your copy-paste type of villain, your rich, corporate, corrupt asshole in a suit. Just the type of character that I really just do not like to see, and really he is just very bland, very forgettable. His motivations don't really make a whole lot of sense. He's not a relatable character. He really just sucks. And then he eventually just gets abandoned in the end in favor of Riot, because Riot's whole plan is the thing that becomes the main focus at that point. But then when you have the final fight between Venom and Riot, it wasn't very good. It really wasn't. And of course, with the dark lighting and the fact that these two kind of mix together, it can be hard to tell them apart sometimes. It's just, you know, this movie was far better than I thought it would. And I consider this to be a movie that's so bad, it's good. This is a movie that I find to be fucking hilarious, and I actually greatly enjoyed it. Next up on the list is Ready Player One. Back when I saw this movie, this was during a time where at work I was just feeling very overworked, working like 55 hours a week because, well, there were people left, and I just was having a whole bunch of hours thrown my way because, well, we need someone to do it. So I felt very stressed out during the month when I went to see this movie. Because when it comes to this movie, I wasn't necessarily like making any big plans to go see it. I just had a friend who said, hey, when Ready Player One comes out, would you like to see it? And I'm like, okay, sure. But it's like, I didn't really want to go out of my way to see it all that badly. I was only even considering it after he said it. But then, after just feeling overworked and I just wanted to just take some time to relax my ass off, I called up my friend and said, hey, Ready Player One's out. Want to go see it? And he said, yeah. So we went to go see it. This movie was just very cathartic to me. It was a huge catharsis factor in this movie to me because, like I said, I needed just some time to get away and just relax my goddamn nerves. So, like, when the movie started up and you had the first scene where there's that big race and they're getting chased by King Kong and whatnot, I thought that was a very good fucking way to open the movie, and I still do. It was just, the movie basically draws on a bunch of, you know, pop culture references, a bunch of nostalgic properties and whatnot as its driving force, which I feel that it's implemented relatively well for the most part. Now, the movie, of course, ain't perfect by no means. This ain't a perfect film. This definitely is not. Because, like I said, now when it comes to like its villain, oh, okay, he's your rich, corporate, corrupt asshole in a suit. And yeah, it's just, you know, everyone loves the Oasis, because like the Oasis, it's basically just like this isekai type of world where, you know, like the real world is really like a big shanty town, or at least that section that we see. But then you have the Oasis, where it's just this big world of imagination and pop culture references and whatnot, where you can be whatever the fuck you want to be. And I just And then you have the rich, corrupt asshole in the suit that basically wants to own it, that way he can profit off of it. And it's like, And then when it comes to like the ultimate like message of the movie, like especially towards the end where it says, where like, you know, where the main character Parzival, he solves the puzzles, he becomes the owner of Oasis, and then he says on Tuesdays and Thursdays we, you know, shut down Oasis, that way people can enjoy time in the real world because, you know, real life's important. It's like, wait, that's it? That's all you really had to say? Was that the moral of the story? So basically, the moral of the story is the same shit that is the same messages that come up whenever I'm playing Wii Sports. Let me know, hey, go play outside every now and then. Okay, that was kind of weak. That was kind of weak, but what I really enjoy is just, I was in the moment of this movie and I enjoyed the movie for what it was. It's just, the movie, of course, it's not a perfect movie, even though it's really not made to be, but it's a movie that I personally did like very much, especially when I saw it. Now, I have not watched it again, as you see it's all nice and sealed up here. I have not watched it a second time just yet, but of course I obviously am going to. I felt that it was worth buying it again, or else I wouldn't have done that. Next movie on the list is Ant-Man and the Wasp. This movie, I can see how many people will view this as a filler movie because, you know, you just had Infinity War, and it does in many ways feels like this movie is just, you know, it's just killing time until we get to Captain Marvel and Endgame. But when you look at this movie for what it is, it's actually a pretty good movie. When it comes to the chemistry between the three lead characters, Scott, Hope, and Hank Pym, I felt that they had good chemistry together. And, you know, any moment where you have the three of these characters together, I felt that those were all very good moments of the movie. And then, like, when it comes to, like, the action of the movie, like, you know, incorporating all the shrinking tech into things, like how they have the shrinking cars, and there's that big, huge building that shrinks, I felt that those were very imaginative. I felt that those were, like, cool, imaginative ways to do it. And especially when it comes to like the chase sequence where we start utilizing the shrinking tech, I felt like those are some of the best. Those are like some of the best scenes of the movie, and it's just some of the most fun scenes that I've had, especially when you get to the Stan Lee cameo. But like when it comes to like the movie, it goes for a more sympathetic antagonist in the form of Ghost, who, if you didn't know, Ghost is actually an Iron Man villain and actually is supposed to be a guy. But hey, I don't mind that, because if you want to be pedantic, then technically Ego the Living Planet is a Thor villain, and he's not related to Star-Lord at all, so I don't really feel that that matters too much. Because like when it comes to making her sympathetic, they do a good job on that, but when it comes to just her herself, she's not that interesting. I don't find Ghost to be all that interesting of a character. And then when it comes to the other antagonist of the movie, I can't even remember the motherfucker's name. He's just yet another copy-paste, generic corporate asshole in a suit. So he just, you know, he's there. He's not very memorable, and just, he's really just boring. I can't even remember the fucker's name. And then the thing that I really feel hurts this movie is its ending. Basically, there's like a dilemma on, you know, you save Janet from the quantum realm, however, that means Ghost will die. However, if you save Ghost from fading out of existence, that means Janet will die. So it's like, basically, it's a matter of who are you gonna save. And then basically, the movie just does a total fucking cop-out at the end, where they save Janet, and Janet is able to use her magic quantum powers to heal Ghost, and it's like, really? Really? It's like, wow, that was just such a huge fucking cop-out, which I really feel drags the film down. It's just, but when it comes to like the movie itself was still very enjoyable, and then of course you have that post-credit scene where Avengers Infinity War ties into it, where everyone blanks out. It's like, And then you of course know that this movie is going to segue into Endgame, and the events within the quantum realm are going to become important. But I felt that I do agree that it does in many ways feel like a filler title, which that in of itself isn't too bad, because the movie itself individually is good. It's nothing impressive compared to the movie we had just gotten before it. Next up on the list is Incredibles 2. It's good. It's not incredible though. Definitely not. And that's a goddamn shame, because the movie is just simply good. This movie comes out a good 14 years after this movie, and at the end of the day, this movie is just simply good, and it doesn't live up to its name of incredible. The thing about the movie is, like, when it comes to the animation looks far better than the original. And I especially love, like, the action sequences, especially the train sequence. I felt the train sequence was incredibly good. So, visually, the movie does look better than the first, but when it comes to everything else, it does not, because I feel that a lot of the characters are acting very out of character, and there's also a lot of backpedaled character development from the first movie. Because, like, you have Violet, who she's confident in herself by the end of the first movie, and then, it was Tony Reitinger who was nervous about asking her out, and she was very nonchalant about it, but then the fact that her entire emotional turmoil within this movie is based on the fact that he saw her in a super suit and then his memory of her gets wiped. It's like, what? It's like, why is she backpedaling to being the shrieking Violet again? And then you have Elastigirl. She is such a fucking hypocrite in this movie, which she points out. But just because you point it out, that doesn't justify it. Because, you're all about, hey, family's important. You shouldn't just keep sneaking out behind my back to do hero work. We've had that time and it's over. So, now while he had to do hero work behind your back, you're doing it right to his face. He feels really fucked over because of that, and I could understand why he would. And then we get to the point where the plot of the movie is we're trying to legalize heroes by showing what happens from their point of view, not just the aftermath of everything they're done, which that's not a bad idea, but the fact that he only uses Elastigirl, not Mr. Incredible, and not Frozone, what the fuck? What was the fucking point of having all three of them go there? It's like, okay, you tell them to plan and say, hey, we're only gonna use Elastigirl. It's like, then that's just a huge waste. And it's like, especially Frozone, you could have utilized him. So it's like, why the fuck you didn't? Because, I really don't think it's enough for you to only have one hero go and do this. You would have to show a bunch of heroes doing this, show different ones, three different points of views in order to try to change the media's perspective on them. And then you have the villain, Screenslaver. That is the lamest fucking name ever. Just, what the fuck? First of all, like, Screenslaver, it's a pun on screensaver, but this takes place in, like, the 60s, so what screensavers are we talking about? Nobody had computers back then. There were no cell phones, so what screensaver are we talking about? But anyway, when we just have the villain and then we get the reveal, and the reveal was just so fucking obvious, it just turned out to be his sister, and then, like, look at his sister's name, Evil Endeavor. Sounds like Evil Endeavor. It's like, yeah, how much you want to bet that she's the bad guy? it's like, she's supposed to be a sympathetic character, but the problem with her is like, especially when it comes to like her father who died for the dumbest fucking reason ever. It's like, supers are outlawed, so why are you trying to call them instead of going into your panic room? And besides, the crooks are already in the house and got a gun pointed to you. So what are you gonna do? It's like, what the fuck? It's like, what do you expect them to do? And then also you have just the fact that you have these other heroes featured in the movie. You don't really get to see much of them. Most of the time they're brainwashed, and then the way of defeating him, you take off their hypno glasses, and it's like, that's lame. Just, the movie, it was just simply good. It was not bad. It was not a bad movie. It was enjoyable, but it wasn't nearly as good as the original, and just the fact that we've waited so long for this is a disappointment. However, if they were to make a third movie, which I'm sure they're making a third movie, I would definitely go to see it, and hopefully it lives up to its name as incredible. Next movie on the list is Pokemon The Power of Us. I don't have that on DVD or Blu-ray. Don't know where to get one. I haven't seen one like in the store or anything. That movie, I only really saw for shits and giggles. That's pretty much it. Because I heard about the movie coming out, and then my friend told me that, they were playing the movie at the theater near me. I was like, okay. I was like, you know what? Since they're playing it and I got some time and I have enough time off that day before I go to work, it's like, shit, I'll go see it. So me and him, we went to go see it. So it's like, I really didn't know what to expect, because the previous movie, Pokemon I Choose You, I really didn't care for this movie that much, and this is actually how I saw it. I just blindly bought it just to watch it. Didn't really care for it that much. It's just the movie was too weird, and I just felt like what the fuck was this movie really going for? I really didn't care for it. But when it comes to Pokemon The Power of Us, I am quite surprised on how much I actually just really enjoyed the movie. One thing I liked about the movie is that this wasn't just another case of Ash Ketchum just hogging the spotlight from everyone else. This wasn't another case of Ash Ketchum just inserting himself into being a hero. It's like there's something going on that's really everyone else's problem, but Ash is going to be the one to save the day. No. The other people within this town that are involved in this event are doing their part, and really it's about them as opposed to Ash. That's what I really like, because I felt that each of the other characters had enough of their own characterization and got enough of their own moments of the spotlight, to the point where it wasn't just a matter of Ash just, playing hero and overshadowing everyone else. This is like a role I would prefer to see Ash in, because, at this point it's like, we have Ash, and, we just gotta have him at this point. It's just, I really felt we should have eventually have gotten a new character overall to replace Ash, but no, we have Ash, so whatever, he's here. But here's the thing, there's a lot of other characters we would like to focus on, and this movie actually does that. Because like the other characters there, I felt that each of them are characters that I would like to see again in a future movie. And also, you have like the conflict that's going on there, where everybody fucking lends in a hand to help out. That was like, okay, that was pretty good there. And then, of course, basically, the movie, it brings back Lugia, but like Lugia is really just, you see him at the end. The movie's not really about Lugia. As a matter of fact, it's more about a different Pokemon. It's about Zeraora, who's a mythical Pokemon in Ultra Sun and Moon, as he's this mysterious Pokemon that they've been saying that, there's been like a lot of legends and rumors going around about it, and the area it's been seen in has been restricted from people visiting. But when it comes down to the movie, it's just, I never really thought I was going to enjoy it nearly as much as I was. It's like the last time I saw a Pokemon movie in theaters, it was the third movie, Spell of the Unknown, which that's actually my favorite Pokemon movie anyway. And now that I've seen this movie and I've seen that it just switches things up, it doesn't follow the exact same fucking formula that the other Pokemon movies do, I will say that this movie right here is definitely gone up to be among my favorite Pokemon movies. It's still not my favorite, but it is among my favorite, and I would get that on Blu-ray if I ever see it lying around, or hell, I'll go out of my way to get it if I have to. Next movie on the list is Halloween. Now, I've done a review on this movie already, so if you guys have already seen it, then you know how I feel about this movie already, as this movie was a movie where when I first heard about it, I was very skeptical of it. I didn't really know what they were gonna do, especially considering this ignores all the other Halloween sequels, and it's taking place 40 years after the first one. Michael Myers is old at this point. Is he really gonna be as intimidating as he was before? Are they gonna understand what made the first movie good in the first place and continue on with it? Actually, yes, they did. They very much did. It's like, when it comes to the movie, it utilizes more so of the element of surprise that the first movie had. It wasn't just outright show everything. As a matter of fact, when I see a lot of background events happen in the movie, like when I notice somewhere further in the background somebody's getting their head bashed in by Michael, I'm like, what the fuck? It's like, what? It's like, when I was there with my cousin, we was watching, it's like, holy shit, did you see that? And I was like, and it was to the point where it's like, okay, so he could be on screen any point, so it's like, okay, where the fuck he at? Where at? It's like, that's the thing that I felt that really makes this movie more engaging, is like how the first one was, it has that feeling of anticipation. So whenever you may feel he may be around, it's got you guessing, trying to figure out, okay, is he anywhere here? Is he watching them right now? So this movie was a very engaging movie to see, and I love how it just built up its suspense, and the payoff of it was very, very good. This movie utilizes its suspense very well. It knows what the fuck to do and when the fuck to do it. It does have problems, like if you've seen the review, I mentioned that, there are still your typical slasher movie cliches that are featured in this. It's not too many of them, but they're still there. And then, of course, there's that extended scene where it's just one long continuous shot where Michael's killing people. I just wondered, why is he bothering to kill these people? They're not exactly in his way. But it's just, the scene was very well shot, and it was playing the Halloween theme. Everything was working well, but if you took the scene out of the movie, you really wouldn't lose much except for a well-shot scene. But this is a pretty solid movie. This is a very good movie, and it's like, they're going to make like another one of this. I doubt it'll be as good as this, but hey, you know what? This movie right here is still a very good movie as far as I'm concerned. Next movie on the list is Deadpool 2. This movie was fucking hilarious. Oh my god. There's been a lot of movies on this list that were fucking funny, like Venom. It was so fucking funny, but this movie, oh my god, this movie was so fucking funny right from the get-go. Right from the get-go, this movie was funny as fuck. I was really worried about this movie because it's like, the first Deadpool movie was very, very good, but I really felt that they might have just worn things out quite a bit when it comes to this movie. I was wondering, how are they really going to do it? And they've done a surprisingly good job on it. Because, when it comes to Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds is as good as ever playing Deadpool. The characters and all the different moments of the movie are funny as hell. The action sequences are very good as well. Now, if there was anything wrong with the movie, I did not like the fact that they kill Vanessa. I don't like that. I really fucking hated that. It's like, okay, we're stuffing the love interest in the fridge in order to motivate the hero. It's like, why are we doing that? It's like, even though it ultimately gets undone at the end in the post-credit scene with the time travel bullshit, It's just a matter of just the fact that it did it at all when it's like, you know, it's just, I really did not like it. Just seeing her get killed off, but at least, you know, it was undone. But by the time we get Deadpool 3, can we finally get Copycat? Because that's who the fuck she is. I want Copycat in a Deadpool movie right the fuck now. And then you have, like, the antagonist, or should I say the future antagonist, Fire Fist, who Cable is out to kill, but Deadpool's trying to save him, showing that, you know, it's not too late for him to turn the side of good. It's just, you know, he himself, he was okay, but, you know, just his scenes, a lot of his scenes were just sounded very corny, especially that part where he goes, boy, it feels good to be a gangster. I felt that was corny as hell. Some of his line delivery just sounded corny. It's like, he isn't bad, it's good for what it is. He works in, you know, he's a kid, so I guess that makes sense. He's just trying to look cool, he's trying to sound cool, but I just felt that didn't work out as well. When it comes to the final fight scene of the movie where we got Colossus and Juggernaut going at it, oh hell yeah, that was funny. Like, this is Juggernaut right here, not like that bullshit Juggernaut we got in X-Men The Last Stand. So this movie, I greatly enjoyed this movie. It's like, do I like it more than the first Deadpool? I felt that the first Deadpool is structured better than this one. This one has a bigger budget and it has better special effects. But I felt the first Deadpool still had better structuring as far as I'm concerned. But that's nothing to say bad about this movie. This movie is still a very good movie as far as I'm concerned. I actually saw this movie twice in theaters with two separate people. And then I also went to go see Once Upon a Deadpool. So altogether I've seen this movie 3 times in theaters, which actually it's a new record because my previous record was I saw Shrek twice in theaters. Now when it comes to Once Upon a Deadpool, it's basically your PG-13 cut of Deadpool 2. And it's like, it's fine for what it is, but you know, it's still funny, and I like the idea of it, but when it comes right down to it, if you haven't seen Deadpool 2 yet, I really wouldn't recommend you start with that one. You could start with either the theatrical cut, or you could watch the super duper cut, where it has extra material not seen in theaters, which I recommend you would see that version first. Alright, here we are. Now the next 2 are the number 1 and the number 2 spots. This was kind of hard for me to decide because, you know, I have kind of conflicting emotions on which one should I put up, because these next 2 movies are ones that I enjoyed the holy motherfuck out of, and I feel that these are 2 of the best movies released in this last year. But when it comes right down to it, there can only be one number 1 spot. So, after just thinking it through, next up on the list and the number 2 ranked movie on the list is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. The movie isn't on Blu-ray yet, it's actually still in theaters now. But when it comes right down to this movie, I was, you know, of course, skeptical, just as I was with, you know, Venom. It's like, you know, okay, here's Sony up to their antics again with Spider-Man. And it's like, let's just see what comes out of this, if what's going to come out of it is even going to be worth our time. Because I saw, like, the initial trailers of it, and I also saw the bit at the end of Venom past in the post-credit scenes where it shows a scene from Into the Spider-Verse. So it's like, okay, what exactly is this movie gonna be, and like how is it gonna be worth our time? This movie was worth our time, and then some. Because when it comes to Spider-Man, 2018 was a very good year for him, especially with, you know, his memorable death scene in Infinity War, the PlayStation 4 Spider-Man game, the comics were really good at the time, and then you have Venom, whose movie was actually very successful and much better than we all anticipated it would be. This movie just completely blew my mind with how good it was. It was just like the animation, oh, I love the art style and animation to this movie. At first, initially seeing it, I was like, man, but then after just seeing the movie, seeing it play out, it's just the art style of this movie is fucking awesome. And then when it comes right down to the characters, because we have Miles Morales, who, you know, he becomes Spider-Man after Peter Parker dies, but then of course with that experiment that was going on that the Kingpin was causing, that's when Spider-Man from different universes start coming in, and then we see a Spider-Man from a different universe who he's basically a down on his luck kind of guy, and it just shows basically what Spider-Man can look like if things just completely go down the shitter for him. And I felt that the portrayal of him was very good, because when it comes right down to this movie is about what it means to be Spider-Man. And that's the thing that I really like about it. It's about the core concept of Spider-Man, because it doesn't have your traditional Peter Parker. Because, you know, Peter Parker, he's a guy who can be pretty down on his luck, but the Peter Parker of this universe was a more extreme example to being a downright tragic type of character. And then you have the other characters, like you have Spider-Gwen, you have Penny Parker, you have Spider-Man Noir, and you also have Peter Porker, Spider-Ham. It's like, you know, those characters, they all do a good job on playing their part in this role as well, even though they're not as focused on or as developed as the likes of our down on his luck Peter Parker. That still works out well. We get just enough of them. And just when it comes down to being a Spider-Man movie about what it means to be Spider-Man, this is the thing I really like about this movie that I felt was horribly lacking in the likes of Homecoming. Because Homecoming is a movie that I feel is a very good MCU movie, yet it's a very bad Spider-Man movie. Well, not as bad as the Amazing Spider-Man movies, but just when it comes to just being about Spider-Man, it was pretty bad because it felt more like he was Iron Man Jr. than Spider-Man. But when it comes to Spider-Man here, it's just the movie, like, of course, I was skeptical as fuck going into it, but I just went in with an open mind. I didn't go in the movie just really expecting too much to roast it on the coals, because I was just coming off of Venom and I liked it. So I was just wondering to see how this movie was, and the movie it just exceeded my expectations. And like, when it comes to any flaws in the movie, they're easily forgivable. I guess, like, the flaw in the movie will be on the villainous side. Because, like, you know, you have most of the villains that are pretty much there. And, like, Kingpin, he's serviceable, but he's not all that compelling of a character. But that's nothing against this movie. This movie is really, really fucking good. I enjoyed the holy fuck out of it. And when that movie gets announced on Blu-ray, I'm gonna rush to go get that movie immediately, because I gotta see that movie again. Now, here we are at the #1 spot, and the #1 movie of 2018, according to Gardetrace, is Avengers Infinity War. But was there really any surprise that this would be my #1 movie? Seriously, was there gonna be any surprise? Because when it comes to this movie, this is a movie that on all accounts just really shouldn't work. This movie really shouldn't work when you think about it, especially if you go and try to rush a movie like this. But this movie shows just how much payoff you can get when you are building up a cinematic universe of movies, and then you come right down to this as a culmination of the events that have been happening. This movie is this is an example of why the Marvel Cinematic Universe is really the only cinematic universe to really succeed, because it took its time to build to this. When you have other universes, like you have the DCEU, and it doesn't understand what the fuck it's doing, and it's just going about it all wrong. This is a movie where they really took their time with it, and also, this guy has been getting built up since 2012 in the post-credit scene of the original Avengers movie, and then it's just he's been basically just been built up more and more and more as time goes on, to the point where it's like, hopefully this guy is going to be worth all of this hype that we're building up. And he was. Because when it comes right down to it, this is the main character of the movie, Thanos. Not these guys, because at this point, you should already know these characters. You should know the Avengers. You should know the Guardians of the Galaxy. You should know who all these guys are. That's the benefit of taking your time with these movies. So now, this is a moment where we explore Thanos and what makes him tick. And he's not just your typical card-carrying villain. He's not just your typical, just big, dumb CGI monster type of guy. This guy actually has motivation. He actually has reason for why he does the things that he does. It's just the way that it's told in just such a good way that, you know, you see Thanos, it's just, he is gotta be one of the most memorable movie villains ever. Not just in realms of comic book movies, but just overall in general. And also, the CGI that was done on him was very good. He looks like he actually has weight to him. Now, unfortunately, like his minions, who are also CGI, it just doesn't look as good on them. And then, of course, there's one which I felt you could easily portray her as a woman in makeup. You know, a woman in makeup could easily trade her. You wouldn't have needed CGI for that. But that's a relatively minor nitpick to the rest of the movie. Because when you have the different factions, because the heroes are all split off doing different things in an attempt to stop Thanos, you have one camp trying to take out Thanos head on, another camp trying to destroy the Mind Stone so Thanos can't get it, and then another camp getting a weapon that's powerful enough to kill Thanos. It's like, you know, having the different characters and like going their different ways to try to like contribute to this, I felt this was a very good use of characters. If anything about this movie is particularly weak, I feel Thor's section is the weakest, because it's a matter of he needs to go to get a hammer, get himself a new hammer or battle axe that's powerful enough to defeat Thanos, and then he gets it. In the end, he does use it on Thanos, but then he gets taunted because he should have gone for the head. But I just felt that his section was the weakest one, and I felt that there was just certain parts of it that just really invalidated the holy hell out of Thor Ragnarok, which I actually made a video about. But when it comes right down to this movie, just overall as a whole, this movie is a movie that it was one of the most fun experiences in movies in general. And also the ending of the movie where Thanos succeeds in his plan and half the universe is wiped out, and you see a lot of the characters that we've grown attached to over the years start dying off. I was broken after that. Because I saw that, I'm like, and I was just floored. I was just so floored, so flabbergasted, my mind was a mess when that happened, and I'm just wondering, where the fuck are they gonna go from here? It's just, I have so many questions about everything now, but holy fuck. This movie is bringing out emotions in me that no other movie has ever really done. So, as far as I'm concerned, if this movie can make me feel the way it did and no other movie's done it, there's no way I cannot put this in the #1 spot. This movie was just so fucking good. And unlike Black Panther, where the more I watch the movie, the less I like it, the more I watch this movie, the more I like it. And as far as I'm concerned, this is definitely the best movie of 2018, and I hope Avengers Endgame lives up to it. So what do you guys think of this? What are your favorite movies of 2018? How would you rank them? Be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Also like and subscribe for more content. So that'll be the end of this video. Have a good day everyone, and have a good 2019 as well. This is Trace, signing out.